Hi, Alexandra. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you live in Georgia right now, but you went to Juilliard and you went to Interlochen too. You still come to Interlochen. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I went to Interlaken for my last 2 years of high school, junior and senior year, and always dreamed of coming back and visiting and seeing the campus. And I was so lucky. Oh gosh, 6 years ago, my sister Susan actually lives there. She's an accompanist, and we were visiting one summer. I brought my kids, who were probably babies then, but they're 7 and 10 now. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I need to make this happen. I need to be working here because, living in New York City at the time, it during the summers is miserable because it's just really hot and all the glass and concrete. And I'm like, I need to be in nature. I need to be around the stately pines and all this amazing music. And so I need to make that happen. And so I just really begged everybody on faculty that please say a good word for me. And so the miracle happened, and I get to teach it every summer in Interlochen. I get to teach theory. And last summer I got to teach harpsichord. And it's just a really wonderful working vacation, not only just to be around so many amazing colleagues and to visit family, but also to bring my family there. And so that they get to see this nature. For New York City kids that grew up there, that's such a novelty, like nature. Imagine. But now we're in Georgia just for work, and we have pine trees everywhere, which is great. But it's also very hot in Georgia in the summer, and so Interlaken is a great place for us. And so I feel so lucky to be there.
So we are talking to you. You're in your home in Georgia, and you are sitting at your very own harpsichord, which is not something that a lot of people have in their homes. And we now have a cameo appearance on screen from one of your dogs.
It's Frankie. He's gonna lick my toes until I pick him up. So
Okay, all right. So Frankie's going to have to go down in a minute when you play. But so having a harpsichord in your house, it kind of has to go in a very specific place.
Yeah, so we thought we had this luxurious house after moving from New York City. They were kind of piled on top of each other almost in New York. The harpsichords were all nestled together, and so we got an extra bedroom. You might be hearing the garbage truck going by. I'm so sorry. We're at home, so this is what we're gonna get Tuesday mornings is garbage day. But yeah, so we're right by my front door only because all the other walls either have some sort of heater or there's a hallway or there's something there. Harpsichords are so specific about humidity and temperature control. And so this is the only option. I mean, you've got my front lights right here. The other side of the room is even prettier. I've got all my degrees and posters and other instruments hanging up, but this is it. I have two other harpsichords too, and they're in other rooms. And so this is the one that I usually take on tour. It's also very pretty, so it makes a nice little background.
Wait, so you own 3 harpsichords?
Yeah, there's the story for each of them. I mean, the first one I bought when I was still a student because I needed something that I could take out on gigs, and so I got this really small Italian style harpsichord, and I was able to buy it with taking out extra student loans. So I was very lucky to be able to get that, and I just paid them off. So. And then the second harpsichord I got is a French double, so it's like the Ferrari of the harpsichords. It has the 2 keyboards, and it's got the expanded range, so I can play any music on it, any concertos, anything by Bach, all of the French composers. And then this one is a Sentimental Instruments, a family instrument. My parents actually built it together in the 70s. They picked these papers. They went to Russia and got these, actually Prague, I think, and got these papers. They're Albrecht Dürer printings.
Oh, cool.
And then my father put this together from a kit. And that was a popular thing. And I guess when the craft era of the 60s and 70s was really popular, you can still buy kit harpsichords and build them. And now would be a great time for that, actually. People have all this time on their hands. But so apparently my father didn't do a great job. We used to call that Snyderizing, when he would just kind of do it himself. And this is pre-internet, right? So putting things together with just a weird manual. And it got rebuilt after he passed away. My mom sent it back to the company. And so it is beautifully, impeccably built, but it has all of the love and parts of my family, my parents building this. And so this one is very special to me.
Well, speaking of things that are special to you, the piece you're going to play for us today is one that you're very connected to. So you've been playing this piece, what, since you were a teenager?
Yeah, well, yeah. So, I mean, I haven't played it since, but so Bach, of course, like, you know, the first name you think of when you think of harpsichord is like, oh, you must play a lot of Bach. Well, yeah, that Bach was like my entry point into this world. So I knew that there was more to learn as a pianist. But when I went to Interlochen my junior year, I remember the feeling of being surrounded by all these amazing like musicians, and I was just used to just being this kid that was my thing that I was good at, but I was the only one. And I felt kind of lonely. But I went to Interlochen, and all these people were so amazing. And my teacher gave me this piece by Bach, and I really had not played Bach before at all. And it's this really wildly fantastic piece, and I just learned it, you know, and I practiced it like crazy. And I remember practicing it with like lights out and stuff. So whenever I hear this piece, I'm just always reminded of taking right back to that time. But over the years, I mean, I've taught this piece many times. It's a Prelude and Fugue. It's in B flat major from the Well-Tempered Clavier, the first book. I've taught it many times, and I've learned so much about Bach and styles of playing. So when you asked me to play something that was under 5 minutes, I kind of was thinking about what piece would be good. I thought about a Scarlatti sonata or something that would be really impressive. But instead, this is what came to mind, because I thought, oh, it just reminds me so much of Interlochen and those like youthful days of just, you know, wanting to be a better musician and thinking about your teacher, you know, wanting to make your teacher happy. It's like your kind of parent figure when you're in boarding school. And then just being surrounded by all these other great musicians and not wanting to mess it up. but over the years, I've just come to enjoy this piece so much, because this particular Prelude and Fugue is so full of so many different styles that Bach was exposed to himself. It's very fantasy-like. And Bach was this amazing keyboardist, and so it's just got a lot of finger work in it. And then of course there's the fugue that was my first fugue that I ever learned. So my mom used to call this the $1 million Prelude and Fugue, because or I forget what she called it, the $10,000 Prelude and Fugue, whatever the tuition was at the time.
Adjusted for inflation.
That's all you play.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing it. This is the B-flat major Prelude and Fugue from the first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier by Johann Sebastian Bach, performed by harpsichordist Alexandra Snyder Dunbar. was Alexandra Snyder Dunbar playing one of her 3 harpsichords from her home in Georgia. That was the Prelude and Fugue in B-flat major from the first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier by Johann Sebastian Bach. Alexandra, thank you so much. What is it like coming back to that piece as a grown-up when you learned it as a teenager?
I still have flashes. I still remember like the smell of the cinder block. So I was there in 97, 98, 99. I graduated in 99. And there was this funny thing that happened when I was there, one of those years in the basement of TJ, they had a little mouse problem. And I kind of thought it was cute. There's not a lot of interaction we had with animals when we were interlocking because I'm used to having lots of pets and I didn't have any pets then. So I remember playing that to a little mouse once. I still have that memory popped up this time I played this. So it's random, right? But music has a lot of power to hold memories. It's like muscle memory, like in your body. If you're working out and you get a massage, you like remember that accident from 20 years ago. This still has a lot of memories, and I go there. Sometimes my mind just wanders. And in some ways, things are easier because my fingers still remember how to play this. But also, again, having taught it to students. And then students bring you new ideas as well, which is one of the most amazing things I love about teaching is that you're always learning new things. And if you don't have students, you're never gonna change. You're just gonna keep teaching the same thing over and over. But so students have brought me some ideas, and I don't really play this the way you hear recordings. I don't know how well you know this piece, but the first page of it is like this wild fantasy, and it can be done motorically, like rhythmically, but nowadays I just really relish in improvisation and making it sound more improvisatory. And there are even some notes I just kind of ignore them and just do, instead of a chord like this, I might play something like that. Because that's what Bach is implying in other sections of it. So when I have taught this piece before, I've asked my students to come up with their own ideas similar to that. Bach came from a style, there's this chordal prelude called arpeggio preludes, and sometimes they're just written as chords, and sometimes they're written as these wild kind of up and down things that you do see here. He does write this. So you have that.
Well, Alexandra Snyder Dunbar, thank you so much for joining us by Zoom today to play some Bach and talk about your time at Interlochen.
Thank you so much for having me.